Okay, so we're starting to do the halachas and the Gmara of kosher brocha. The Gmara says in the end of Gmara Psachim, before we look inside, at the very end of the Gmara Psachim, the Gmara says when Mashiach comes, there's going to be a big mishta. Just like we said in the Pasha, Vayigdal hayeled vayigamal vayas Avraham mishta godel. So when Yitzchak grew up, Yitzchak Avinu, so there was a big mishta.
Was when he became Bar Mitzvah?
But the Gemara says no. When Yitzchak is Klal Yisrael, and when Vayigamal means when they go out of the big golus. B'yom Yigamal as Yitzchak osla Kadosh Baruch Hu las suda l'tzadikim b'yom shegamel chesed im zari shel Yitzchak. The Eibush is going to make a big suda the day Mashiach comes. We're going to finish. It's not in this Gemara. It's at the very end of the Gemara Psachim. After they eat and drink, it's time to bench. You bench, you need a kosher brocha. We're going to learn tonight about the sugi of kosher brocha. Do you need a kosher brocha? Do you not need a kosher brocha? The Gemara mentions it, a machloikas rishonim, if it's obligatory or not. It's a machloikas rishonim, and we'll talk about this tomorrow. We'll talk the minhag Chabad is to do it whenever there is 3 people, as a mitzvah min hamufcher, and regardless of Shabbos or Yom Tov or breakfast or supper.
You're right.
We used to have a yeshiva here, and the Bochrim asked if they should have kosher bracha for breakfast. I said, Avada give this. Avada give this. People would come in here, they thought it was the strangest thing in the world.
I said,
they used to think it's the strangest thing in the world. In the morning, they used to have breakfast, and they used to have a kosher bracha. But the truth is, we're soon going to see the Gemara, and also the Gemara here at the end of Psachim. It sounds like at the end of a meal, it's the common thing that you bring a kosher bracha. You bring a kosher bracha. For sure, it's a mitzvah min hamufcher. And that's the way the Mishnah Brura paskins and the Alter Rebbe paskins. As I said, the bottom line is the minhag Chabad is that it's only if you have a zimun, but even if it's 3, and even in the middle of the week, and even breakfast, you could do it. So Akavada Givis, when Mashiach comes, the Gemara says that they're going to bring a koisi devoya, a big kois. The kois is going to have 121 lugin. 121 lugin is every log is 4 devias. Every devias is about 3 ounces, so it's you do the math here. It's about
3 times 120.
Yeah.
Who will hold the kosher Mashiach?
It's 320 times to 320 times 12 ounces.
3 times 120.
No, 321 times 12 ounces.
12 times 320.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Who's going to be able to pick that up?
There'll be a big line
people
for
to
the
do it.
kosher bracha.
Oh no! So the Gemara says what's going to happen. First, you're going to have Aviva Mitzvah. He says, "No, I can't do it." He says, "Unfortunately, I had a son Yishmael. With a son like Yishmael, you can't do it."
You know he did too.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then it comes along Yitzchak, and they said no. Here, so they give it to you. He says, I have Esau. Yaakov Avinu says, I could do it. It sounds like I could do it, but I married 2 sisters. So you know what? He says, let's give it to David HaMelech. And David HaMelech says, yes, I could do it. I could do it. So the Alter Rebbe, you ask a good question. Yishmael did tshuva. And what's up shot in the Gemara? So the Alter Rebbe says like this. That really, what does it mean? This is a big kois that bring down a big brocha. Brocha from the Brecha al Yoina, to bring down the biggest brocha. To bring down the Maral, the Nasiv Solim says, what's the pshat when we bench that we bring a kosher brocha? Because we want to bring down the Eibishter's brocha. We want to bring down the Eibishter's brocha. And it shows gratitude, but it's also spiritually, it brings down a big brocha. That's the idea of a kosher brocha. That's what the Gemara says in Native in Nundala, that the bayis she'ein nishpach bo yain ein ro'ezim brocha. That a house that there's no, the wine doesn't pour there, doesn't pour out. So it's a simon brocha that we have a kosher brocha. Not only we have wine and the wine, but the kosher brocha ad b'li died.
This is why in Havdalah we put.
Right. It's an interesting. And again, we're going off the subject. We'll get back to this in a minute, and we'll get to this in Mitzvah tomorrow and next week as well. The Rebbe explains there's a minhag Yisrael that when you make kiddush and Havdalah, you have a plate underneath. that plate is not just because it's nice, and that Mr. Floor, when he sells his silverware, or his daughter and son-in-law on Avenue J, when they sell you
They still have it. That's
yeah, commercial break for his wife's store. So it's not just free ad. Impressions. So if you want to make a good impression on someone and you want to give them a gift, go to his wife's store, Impressions. So B'meila, it's not just that the Judaic stores figured out a way to make a couple more bucks. Is a min gisrol toidehi, that there is a plate under the becher. Why? The Rebbe says very simple. Because we're going to learn in Shulchan Aruch that even though the Gemara says that you should fill up the cup till the top, however, because it might pour out, it's a bizoyin oichlen. And as we learned earlier in the Gemara last week and the week before, bizoyin oichlen is a terrible thing. The Eibishter gives us kindness and he gives us food. We shouldn't be mavaz of the food. That's why we're chos and kalif, to be careful. You throw things, but you have to be, it's wrapped up, or it shouldn't be in a way, like the Gemara says, that later it will be a bizoyin to the oichlen. So if you're going to pour, and it's going to pour onto the floor, pour onto the table, it'll be bizoyin oichlen. So therefore, the Rebbe says, it's pasha balabatash. That because, so the Alter Rebbe says that Lamaisa, someone that doesn't fill up the cup till the top, he does the right thing. But minig Yisrael fort, they wanted the blessing should overflow.
Right.
Because the Gemara says native in that when you pour more wine, the blessing overflows. So Vasat Megaton, that's why it's minig Yisrael that you have a plate. So now it's never going to be bizoyin oichlen. It's only a bizoyin if it pours onto the floor or pours onto the table. It's like, you know.
But my father, when he made Abdullah, he picked up the tablecloth and he made it on a plain table. I don't know why. That's a minute.
He didn't want
to.
Maybe he didn't want to make the tablecloth dirty.
No. That's a minute.
Okay.
Only by Abdullah.
Only by Abdullah? Okay, that's a separate thing.
But the wine was on the table?
On the table. That's
and without a tetzel? Without a tetzel?
Without a tetzel. He's the plate. Pick up the tablecloth.
It's mehadim min mehadim.
My brother does that to this day. The same thing. Yeah.
Okay, but the Rebbe's pshat is like this: that because you don't want to have bizoyin oichlin, to the extent that those, so some that are noig not to fill up the cup till the top, they're only noig to fill it up 3/4.
In other words, to make kiddush,
so
it's
for sure you're allowed to. Okay. But there's some are preferred to do that, but shouldn't be bizoyin oichlin. So the Rebbe says that's why it's a minig to have a plate, because if you're going to have a plate, there's not going to be a bizoyin.
But then it's not a bizoyin. The plate back into the. Yeah.
So then the Rebbe asks, you see the Maisa, not everyone goes and takes the wine from the plate and pours it back. Gets thrown out. Well, so the Rebbe answers like this. Firstly, it's not bizoyin. It's not a bizoyin. It's a bizoyin to the wine if you pour it and it goes on the floor, it goes on the table. If it goes on the plate, it's not a bizoyin. You're not being mevaza it. Now, if you're going to ask, it's a question of levatola. It's a question that you're wasting wine. So that's not a wasting. Because it's minig Yisrael, that this is a symbol for a simon brocha. It's a symbol for a simon brocha. That's not baltashch. It's not levatola. It's not levatola. It's for a good reason. So it's for a very good reason. It's just that we don't want to have, there's two issues. There's a bizoyin, not to embarrass the wine. So we're not embarrassing it. We're putting it into a plate. No embarrassment. Maybe we're not going to drink it. It'll stay in the plate. That's fine. That's not levatola.
Didn't the Rebbe put it back in the place?
No, it's a good question. I don't know. Even if the Rebbe did, he was just living limud schus for the minig oilam.
The Rebbe made kiddush.
No, but they were there by Avdallah.
Avdallah, yeah.
But the Avdallah is Shkanai because they put the candle. Yeah, you put the candle. You can't drink it.
No bizayon.
Yeah,
that's right.
Okay. So back to the story of the Gemara. So we went off a little bit. We're back to the story in the Gemara. So the Gemara says that Avram Avinu refuses to take the kos. He feels he's not worthy. Yitzchak is not worthy. Why is Avram not worthy? Big deal. He had a son Shmuel. Alter Rebbe says, why is it? Not because she had a son Shmuel. What? His son sinned, and that's what the father has to suffer. And besides, the son did tshuva, like Rabbi Yitzchak asks. Why is it that his son was able to become such a Baal Aveda? Because Avram Avinu was chesed. And from chesed, there could be a little bit of, the klippas could a little hold on to chesed. Yitzchak was gevura. The klippas could, Shmuel, the Arabs, are very hospitable. But don't turn your back.
Yeah. When you leave your house, in their house.
Esav is different. Esav is not hospitable. Esav is not hospitable. It's not at all, because it's Gvura de Kedusha. Because Chesed and Gvura are both not in the middle line in Kedusha. Tiferes is the middle line, so therefore there is a shaila that maybe Yaakov Avinu and Tiferes could do it. And the answer is that even Yaakov Avinu, because he has a connection to Leah and Rochel, he also can't do it. Who could do it? David HaMelech. David HaMelech was Malchus. If Malchus could bring down Kedusha to the lowest place, it must be power from the highest place to be able to bring the Kedusha from the lowest. To go to the lowest place, you have to have the biggest power. A regular teacher for a regular student. For a challenged student, you need a better teacher.
Why they didn't go to Moshe Rabbeinu? Went all the way to David HaMelech.
Because David HaMelech is Malchus Datzilus. And Malchus Datzilus goes down to the lowest place. And David HaMelech is Malchus Datzilus. It must be that he comes from the highest place. So therefore, he has the koyach. That's why he says, Li noa lavorech bechinas berech al yoina ma'atzmus oirein sov shalamayla makli. He could bring from the brecha, from the highest place, into the keli. Dafka David HaMelech could do it. Okay, so now let's talk about what we have to do, kosher brocha, and how we learn it from the Gmara. So here it's Daf Kuf Hei Amid Beis. Not Kuvav. We're starting Kuf Hei. So earlier in the Gmara had a discussion about kiddush and Avdallah. The din is that if a person forgets to make Avdallah, he can make it next week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, he can still make Avdallah. He can carry the Ashlama. Shaila is, could you still do Ashlama for kiddush? The Gmara says, no problem. You could do Ashlama for kiddush too. So the Gmara has a problem with that. The Gmara brings a brayse. The brayse says that if you don't have enough, if you don't have enough wine, so you have to use it Friday night for kiddush. Mipnei shekiddush hayom, the top line. Mipnei shekiddush hayom koidem lechaved hayom, because the kiddush of Shabbos kodesh, the kiddush of the day, is more important than the kavod of the day. In other words, earlier the Braisa said that if you have nice foods and you don't have enough for both, so you should leave the better foods for Shabbos day. Kavod yom adif. But by night is more adifus mitzad kiddush, and by day is more adifus mitzad the meal, mitzad the kavod. So he frekt the Gemara, simple shaila. V'im is if it's true that you can catch up, there's a shlama, you can catch up later and do kiddush tomorrow. So if a person only has one cup of wine, he could do both. Lishafkad lamocha, leave the kais of wine till tomorrow. Well, it'll be two mitzvahs. He'll have the kiddush of the night, and plus by day the meal will be with wine. A meal with wine is more of a chosh of a meal, so he'll have both milas.
How will he eat the Suda Friday night? I'm missing something. I'm just asking. I don't understand. How's he going to have the Suda? How's he going to have the Suda?
He'll eat it with chalas.
To make kiddush with challah.
Yeah. But the mila from kiddush or wine he'll have tomorrow. Plus he'll have the mila that the day meal will have wine. So he'll have both milas.
So he'll have the nusach for Friday night during the day too?
Yeah. Right.
You have chavila mitzvahs on mitzvahs, because two mitzvahs doing at one time. Did I do that?
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a second. Exactly, it's a problem. Amar Lois, he answered him. Yeah. But you have to turn the page. Amar Lois, he answered him. Aviva Mitzvah b'shaita. There's a chavivas to do the mitzvah at the right time. Friday night, you're supposed to do kiddush, right? To delay it to tomorrow. Why delay it? You're supposed to do a mitzvah b'shaita in the right time. You don't want to delay the mitzvah. We don't want to delay the mitzvah. We don't want to. We don't want to delay a mitzvah. If you could do a mitzvah now, we don't delay.
Same thing with Avdallah, though.
Well, so the Gemara is going to ask the question. Your question. We don't delay a mitzvah. We don't delay a mitzvah. If we could do it now, we do it now.
I didn't understand something. With the Friday night, he didn't have enough food for good suda.
You didn't have enough wine.
Yeah, if you don't have if you have only one piece of beef, have it for the day.
For the day. Now, so now the Gemara is saying.
If you have one cup of wine, drink it by night.
No, but first they were saying to do it in the day. No?
So the Gemara asks, why? Push off the kiddush to tomorrow, and
what I want to understand is they're saying he should do the wine the kiddush in the day. Why? Because he has a better meal in the day.
No, if he doesn't have enough wine for both.
But I'm getting get something. You said first he didn't have enough food.
If he has only one piece of meat,
Yeah.
he should have it, the Mishnah says, by day meal.
The day, yeah.
If he has only 1 cup of wine, he should have that cup of wine in the night meal.
Yeah.
Why? Because the Suda is more kosher by day, and the Kiddush is more kosher by night.
But
So the Gemara asks if it's true
Yeah.
that you could do the Kiddush tomorrow,
Yeah.
so you can have Alamilas. Don't make Kiddush by night.
Yeah.
Say make Kiddush on Challah by night.
Yeah.
Then the Shabbos by day, by lunch, you'll make Kiddush and wine. You'll have Beda Milas. You'll have Kiddush.
And
Plus, you're going to have a Choshev a Suda because you're having wine and meat at the meal for by day. Right? It's Choshev to have wine with your meal. It's a very Choshev meal.
Wait, I'm getting again. This is where he doesn't have the food either.
He has 1 piece of beef, so he decided he's going to eat it by lunch.
By lunch.
Good.
Okay.
Fisio, that's done.
Yeah.
Now he has 1 cup of wine. When should he drink it? By night or by day? It's not. It's fancy to have wine together with the meat.
With the good meal.
Right. On the other hand,
Friday night meal.
And
Someone asked about
Right,
it.
and
The
the-
Friday night meal he doesn't have.
he has only 1 cup of wine. So when should he have it?
But the Friday night
the
meal
wine.
is not a good meal. He doesn't have the meat. you see.
Right. Right.
So they want to say that by the good meal, he should have the wine.
Right.
Is this the idea?
Yeah. Yeah. The Gemara is asking if you could
Yeah.
make kiddush by day.
Yeah.
So together with the good meat, have the good wine.
Okay.
double head.
Why can't he push off and instead of making the 1 cup of wine for kiddush by night,
Yeah.
let him push it off and just make the kiddush by day?
So he doesn't
Yeah,
have
he makes
enough
kiddush
food.
on
He
Chag.
doesn't
He has
have
1 piece of
food.
beef and 1 cup of wine.
That's the wine. So
Yeah.
he has a two problems.
Yeah.
So then they
most
answer
important meal of
Maskana, you
Shabbos
got to
is the
do the
day.
wine Friday night.
Why? Because
Kiddush-
Aviva Mitzvah b'shaita
Kiddush is more important.
is
than
it's
Friday
important
night.
to do it Friday night in the time, in the right time.
Because the Kiddush of the day is not important, right?
Is not so important as the night. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not that it's not so important as the night. It's
Yeah.
not kedai to delay the mitzvah of kiddush
Kiddush till the
till the
morning.
next day. We want to do it right away as soon as we could do the mitzvah. Right.
I think the differentiator is that kiddush on challah during the day, as opposed to at night.
Right. So we don't want to push it off. We want to do it right as possible, right away by night.
We're doing kiddush at night and during the day. If we have an option of having challah, we can kiddush on challah.
Right. So if you have an option, one meal is going to have the challah, one is going to have the wine. Friday night has to have the wine because we want to do Aviva Mitzvah b'shaita. We want to chapera in the mitzvah right away. Even though we once spoke about this, that if you have a hidden mitzvah, you should delay it. Right? Remember which second day of Yom? Bris. So you can do it later. But so as we spoke about then, the Rebbe's chiddush is that it depends. If it's in this mitzvah, for example. This mitzvah of bris is going to be better if it's in a few hours later. We're davening. The din is if I'm traveling, I'm allowed to, even though I'm distracted, I'm even allowed to walk while I'm davening. And I don't have to do, I can daven right away. It's more, I daven. I'm walking and davening. I have to stop just by the beginning of Shemoneh Esrei or whatever. I'm allowed to walk and daven. I'm in the airport, I'm walking and davening. But I know in 2 hours I'm going to be home. I can go into Landau's, I can go to Frankel's, a chapa minyan, I got a mikveh, I can go to 770, it'd be very nice, right?
11 o'clock.
Exactly, catch a late minyan, so what's wrong? Problem is it is a magdim mitzvahs. Alter Rebbe says better to delay the mitzvah, because better to daven behidur, b'yeshiv hadas. So the Rebbe's answer is like this, depends. If it's a hidur in this mitzvah, the davening could be done in a haste, not a nice davening, or a nice davening. So better delay the davening and do it later. Mila. You could do the mila in the morning, chaplap shmak, you don't even have a minyan, everyone's run. Or you can do it in the summer, people come home from work, 5 o'clock you'll make the bris. It'll be nicer, berevam hadas melech, a nicer bris. Do it 5 o'clock. But if it's not a hidur of this mitzvah, kiddush is not going to be more mechubadik if you do it tomorrow by day. The Shabbos meal, with the steak, I'm now going to have also wine. But the wine, the kiddush doesn't become more mehudar by doing it by day. the Suda Shabbos is going to be a nicer Suda Shabbos. Instead of he had one piece of meat, so he delayed it for the day, and now he delayed also Machai, and now he's going to have the meat and the wine by day. Geschmack. But it doesn't add any hidur to the kiddush. So then we say Aviva Mitzvah b'shaita, because this mitzvah is not gaining anything. The mitzvah of kiddush is not gaining anything by delaying it. By the davening, if you delay it 2 hours, the davening itself will be a nicer davening. When you delay the milah itself will be a nicer milah. Masha'enkein, by kiddush, if you delay the kiddush tomorrow, the kiddush is not going to be a nicer kiddush. The meal is going to be, okay, forget about it. Aviva Mitzvah b'shaita, if you have a choice to do a mitzvah now or tomorrow, you do it now. Yeah.
He was already, since he said on Challah Friday night, he already said the kiddush in Ganson Friday night. He was going to have it in day. He's going to have kavanah for Friday night. The Ikar mitzvah kiddush is Friday night, not the kiddush of Rabbah.
You're right. He's not going to have. I'm sorry. He's not going to have kiddush. I'm sorry. You're right. We're not going to have kiddush. I'm sorry. He's not going to have. He's going to eat the suda, but he's not going to have kiddush.
I got a question. If he has 1 cup of kiddush, you're saying Friday night is better. Why you don't have half a cup today?
So that's what we're going to talk about in a minute.
Only if you have to revius only, maybe.
Right. He's having a revius and a half. He has only 1 revius and a half over here. The Gmara is going to say.
Okay. If you don't hold like a Chazanish.
Do we say that a mitzvah has to be done dafka b'shaita? But nan Tanya, we learned in a brayso. Nichnas l'beis Mitzvah Shabbos. He came home from shul and he came into his house on Shabbos. So what does he do? He makes a brocha on the wine, on the candle and the psamim. This is the pshamis shita, so it's the other way. First the candle and then the psamim. And then he says, if he has only 1 kois of wine, so then he eats malava malka first, which is an extraordinary thing. Chazal said, you know what? We'll let you eat malava malka first, and then you take the kois, manicha dachar amazon, you put the kois of wine till after the meal, and then mishal shalom kulon lacharav.
But isn't the halacha they're not allowed to eat before Havdalah?
So somebody showing him say that over here is a special exception, because the importance. It's so important. That's why we're going to see that there is somebody showing. That's what somebody showing him hold that we see from here that it's a chiyuv to have.
Because a mozen on cup is not a chiyuv. Making up is a chiyuv.
That's a machlokes rishonim. Somebody showing him say from this Gemara we see that it's a chiyuv gomer, because we allow. The Gemara says a person is meis v'askara, cruel death for a person who drinks water before Havdalah. And here we say, the Chazal said, you know what, eat your malav and malka before Havdalah. Because it's so important to make brochos hamazon ala kois, so we'll tell you an exemption that will let you eat malav and malka before you make Havdalah. And you're going to use that kois after the meal to do 2 things. You're going to do the zimun, the brochos hamazon, and Havdalah on the same kois. So the other Rishonim, and even we're going to give, if you have no choice, you can even make mitzvahs chavilas. That's how important kosher brocha is. As long as you make kosher brocha. As long as you make it. Other Rishonim say that here we're talking about that he really didn't, he's still in the middle of a suda. He didn't bench yet. It's a little strange to say such a pshat because it says hanichnas l'beis b'mitzvah Shabbos.
Where is he coming?
Where's he coming from? So he's coming from the shul.
Yeah,
so if he did it in shulas, they didn't bench.
He had kavanah. That wash over there.
Yeah, you could say that. It's fine. Not a problem. You could say that.
Otherwise it could happen.
You could say that, but still, it's a little doichik. So if you say that it's a middle of the meal, so there's no special exemption here. There's not a big raya from anything. But if you say like the Rishonim that he came home. And he came home, he wants to have malava malka, and we allow him to wash and make hamoitzi before Havdalah, he should be able to have a kois of wine to make brochos hamazon. Obviously, it must be a chiyuv gomur, right? Over here, we don't say Aviva Mitzvah b'shaita. We're allowed to push it off. You can have malava malka first, and then you make Havdalah after malava malka.
This is the case that he has only 1 cup of wine.
Yeah.
So maybe it's
Amar Lo, so the Gemara answered, so this was a discussion between Avina and Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. Amar Lo, so he answered him, Ano, Lo Chakim Ano, I'm not very smart. Lo Chuzo Ano, I'm not a Novi. Lo Yechido Ano, but I'm not alone. Elo Gamarna v'Sadarna. I learned the Mishnahs, and I was masader in the Beis HaMedrash, v'chein moirim v'medrash kavasi, and in the Beis Medrash they paskened like me. And he said the reason is very simple. There's a big difference when Shabbos is coming in or going out. When Shabbos is coming in, the earlier you bring in the Shabbos, the more precious you show Shabbos is. When Shabbos is going out, you try to do it as late as possible. It shouldn't look to us like a tuna, like a heavy weight. So therefore, what's your shaila said that Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak to Ravina? What are you comparing the two? Kiddush and Havdalah, both you could delay. You could both. If you didn't make Kiddush, you could do it tomorrow. You didn't make Havdalah, you could do it tomorrow. It's just the lechatchila Kiddush. We try to make it as early as possible because we want to show how chaviv Shabbos is to us. But by Havdalah, you can't say, to show how precious Havdalah is, you'll do it earlier. Do it an hour later. Do it an hour later. Big deal. It's the opposite, right? That's why usually we say Aviva Mitzvah b'shayta to show how Mitzvah is so precious to me. So Taka by Kiddush to show how Shabbos is precious, to try to make Kiddush as early as possible.
Friday night.
Friday night.
that's it.
The morning.
As opposed to
no wine left.
Yeah,
Just
Friday
night.
Right.
That's
So right. So Taka the day meal won't be so kosher. But I did the Mitzvah Chaviv. I showed how precious Shabbos is. I did it on time. But by Matzah Shabbos, you can't say, how could you delay make him love a malka and 1 hour later you'll make Havdalah. So what? I'm doing, because I forget, I show that Shabbos is precious to me and my love a malka is still, part of the whole thing. So make Havdalah 1 hour later. What's the big deal? Kiddush, it's a big deal. We don't want to delay Kiddush till tomorrow. But Havdalah, to delay it till after Malav Malka is not a big deal. The Heilige Ruzhin has said that a person Motzah Shabbos should not look at the clock. It's a tough thing. Everyone looks at the clock. He says because Shabbos is a Yom Tov, you could look at the clock. Because Yom Tov, Yisrael, Mekatshel, Azmanim, but Shabbos is Lamayla Mazman, it's higher than time. So when you look at the clock, it's against the whole thing. Shabbos, there is no clock. What kind of clock? Shabbos, there's no clock.
So when he was taking out Shabbos?
Oh, the Heilige Ruzhin, I'm sure, was like, by the time he got to making Havdalah, yeah.
You can see different. It's good you look at the watch and the clock. Oh, thank God! Look at this. How many hours I kept Shabbos and I enjoyed.
Yeah,
Shabbos.
no, but the Ruzhin said no. Shabbos is higher.
See, that's the fact you miss out by not saying Zmiris. Zmiris says, Ma'achram Latzeis Min HaShabbos, Ma'achram Latzeis. So we learned this from the, see, it's a Gmara, the Zmiris says.
Right, a Gmara,
Yeah.
Look.
That's right.
See, they don't say
So we'll have more on my
They don't.
after
It's only
He
little.
already let go with Shabbos. He already let go with Shabbos. Having Lava Malka, he already, Shabbos is already over. This is after.
Yeah, but there's no Indian of there's no such a by Kiddush. You could say Aviva Mitzvah b'shayta because you're showing a chavivus by doing it earlier. Here, that you don't show a chavivus.
Oh, yeah.
You're not showing a chavivus.
Abdullah itself, by saying Abdullah, that itself might show Chavivus. You're being saying Abdullah, which is separating Shabbos from Kol. By pushing on.
By pushing off, this Havdalah is not.
It's not Shabbos anymore. What Havdalah represents. That's
Nicht gefährlich, exactly. Zog the Gemara Shmamino. From here, this Mishnah we just learned about the person who came home on Shabbos, and he only has one kois, so he eats malk and then he makes Havdalah. Shmamino from this Braisa. So Shmamiya Miya Masnisa from this Mishnah, this Braisa, we learned Tamni. We learned 8 dinim. Wow, exactly. Shmamina, first thing we learn from here, Mavdul B'Tfila, Tzarech Sheyavdil Ala Kois. Even though you already said Ata Techen Anton in the Tfila, when you come home you have to make Havdalah on the Kois, because the person came home from shul and he still has to make Havdalah on the Kois.
When you say over here, Kois, meaning Ravis?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you will.
Right, that's why, and that's going to be another day. Shema min brocha to a kos. I see that the brocha of bichas hamazon needs to have a kos because if he has only one, he pushes off, and he does the bichas hamazon and avdollah together. Shema min kosher brocha tzara shir. The kosher brocha must have a certain shir, which is a revius. Because if you could have any amount, you can always
make a little
split it into two. Yeah. Shema mina mavarach tzarech shiitim. You have to drink it. Because if you didn't have to drink it, you just pick up the kois and you put it back down, and you don't have to drink it. So if you don't have to drink it, you can use it 10 times. It's not a problem.
Actually, no, that's what we do by Shalasudas, what we do by Kisamozan.
Right.
We're benching on it.
And you don't drink it.
Right.
And then we make Abdullah on it.
Right. Exactly.
No, but you're not supposed to drink before Abdullah.
Depends on who.
Right.
Unless it's a...
They drink it.
Right, they drink
They
it.
do, yeah.
Those that drink it all the time, they drink it.
Even if they make Sheva Brochos by Shalasudas.
Sheva Brochos, yes. But Sheva Brochos, they do drink. The
Shema mina.
Okay, right.
Another diet. Tomei pogme. We'll get to all these halachas. These are very important to discuss. Every one of these are very important. Shema mina tomei pogme. That if a person tastes from the wine, there's a pagam in it, and you can't use it anymore. Why? Because if you could taste a little bit and still use it, so for some reason, as we'll see later, the Rabashi doesn't like this, but the Gmara learned that he had one revius. He probably had a little more than a revius. I don't know why the Gmara learned that way, but for some reason the Gmara he had a revius and a half. Say. Obviously, he didn't have 2 revius. If he had 2 revius, he'd pour it into 2 cups. So it'd be good. He'd have one for Avdallah and one for kosher brocha. But he had a revius and a half. So still, if he has a b'riyas avah, if he can make Avdallah, take a little tima, and then leave the rest for the kos shel brocha of the suda. Elamai, because once you drink, it becomes pogum. As I say
directly from it, or even drinking from the cup without drinking directly from it?
It has to be l'choira directly from it.
So what if you poured in another cup to drink from it? Would that be? It won't be pogum.
Right. L'choira. So you're asking a very good question. You're asking a very good question.
No, that means he has enough for 2.
No, he's saying if he has a revius and a half, why can't he
pour over to another?
Azoi. He make Avdollah, and he finishes Avdollah, pour a little bit of it to another kois, a little bit. Amashu,
and then
drink it,
and then drink the other cup of milk.
Yeah, that's what he's asking. So there are those that say that Shema Mino,
that you have to drink from
that you're supposed to drink from the kois. The other people that are tasting from you, they taste, but the person who makes kiddush and Avdollah has to drink from the kois, because otherwise, like you said,
when we make kiddush, we
may drink from the kois, right?
Put it in the cup and give it to him.
Why can't you say like people are market to use at least half a kois? Or more than just touch a kois. There's an Indian to have a
kois. It's supposed to have roif kois.
You have a kois something that it's not a lechatchila bigger thing. Just take a sip. You're supposed to have a sip.
The Gmara is not going to say. I hear kasha. Right. Shema mino toam mavdil. It's a raya that even if you eat the meal, you can make Avdollah after your meal. It's a strange Shema mino l'choyed. I mean, why would you think otherwise? Whatever.
No, but then you say you're not allowed to eat before.
Yeah, but
that's not the Shema mino.
No, the Shema mino is you would think that you should wait to make Avdollah till you want to eat. So some reason the Gemara thought that you when you're hungry and you want to eat your next meal, you make Avdollah and then you could eat. So over here we see no, he ate Melav Malk, and right afterward he made Avdollah. You understand? It was like a strange hava meaning.
Nothing to do with the Oscar business.
No.
That's something else.
Yeah,
they don't even talk about it.
No, right.
Why talk?
I don't know. It's as I said, it's a funny Shema Mino. And turn the page. Shema Mino. Another is I'm going to base kedushas al koi vechad. Even though usually we say you don't make a mitzvahs chavilas, but when you have no choice, you could make two kiddushes. One the kedusha of Avdallah, one the kedusha of kosher brocha, and one kos. Shema Mino b'shamahi, and we see that this brais is b'shama, libed Rabbi Yehuda, because if it had been Levi Hillel says what we do, which is that you first do b'samim and then you do the candle, and this brais says reverse because this brais is b'sham. Ashi Omar Togmai Talmei Pogmei the kosher brocha tzara shir choda miltzi. He says, I can't see any raya from this brayse that you're not allowed to be poigim. Hochikamar, my time of pog, my mishum, the kosher brocha, tzara shir. Maybe it's talking about that there was only one revis, and because you need to have a revis, as soon as he drinks, that's it. But how do you know? Yeah, how do you know that if there was a revis and a half, maybe this talking about mamish, there's a minimum, he has only one revis. Toysa says a very important line, not that he's arguing with the halacha. The halacha is that he also agrees that a pagam is a pagam. He says you can't learn it from this Mishnah. But we see soon in the Gemara, everyone agrees to the halacha. Rabbi Yaakov bar Idi kopid achatzva. He was very makpid that it should not be from kiddush, avdola, bechaz hamazon, that should not be that barrel, that jug that no one drank out of the wine out of it. If the kois, someone drank out of the kois, he was makpid. If they drank out of the bottle, he didn't care. But if they drank out of the kois, he cared. Mar baravashi, kopid afila achavisa pegimta. Even if someone drank from the barrel, huge barrel, and the person took a straw, went to the side of the barrel, and he drank a little, and he drank that barrel. He wouldn't use that barrel for kiddush or avdola. Oh, so what's the reason of this whole idea of pagam? The Rishonim say very simple, because the pasuk that the Navi said about a korban, which is a scrawny, a little kvetched up, raisin, and it's not a nice korban. Would you bring it to your pechasecha? Would you bring it to your king, to your ruler, to a person of your government? Do you think if you're going to bring him a gift, a shriveled up gift, that that he will
find favor?
Yeah, no, obviously not. If you're going to come to a government official and you want to give him a nice gift because you want to find favor in his eyes, you're going to give him a beautiful gift. So the same thing here. Truth is that you're allowed to drink wine. If someone drinks from a cup, you're allowed to drink the wine. But the Easternist doesn't like it, right? In today's society, most of us are Easternists. Yeah. No, you don't want to drink from someone else's kois. So now that you already drank, someone drank from this kois, now you're picking it up to cover the Eibishter. Now you're giving it to the Eibishter. That's not a nice gift to give to the Eibishter. So one opinion says if they drank out of the barrel, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. As long as this kois, no one drank out of this kois. Other opinion says nope. Even if they drank out of the jug. And the third opinion is machmir, even if they drank out of the barrel. Even out of the barrel, the shine is good. It's not nice. You don't give a barrel of wine.
You're breaking the whole barrel of wine because you drink a little bit.
Yeah, if someone drank a little bit from the barrel, is already.
I understand.
Yeah, that's it. Let's turn back. There's one toises that's a critical toises over here for the sugya. The third toises from the top. Shema mina brocha te'una kois. This is we're only learning this Gemara for this main thing, which is does birchas hamazon need a kosher brocha or not? One of the rayas that we brought from this braysa is that you see that you must have a kosher brocha for birchas hamazon, because we said that this person has.
It's one person.
Oh, shema mina brocha te'una kois k'tzas mashma filo yochid te'una kois. It's mashma a little bit that even if it's one person, da nichnas mashma sho yechidi. It says nichnas lebeisa. He walked into his house. Who? Him. Does he have sons? Maybe he only has daughters. Maybe he only has daughters, and he comes home. So mehechi teisi that he has a zimun.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, exactly. No mehechi teisi. So therefore, others Rishonim say, nichnas mustami he has two boys. Okay, shine. You can argue with this raya. The chemash, my second raya is. Come on later in the Gemara that nan shlishi, when it comes to the night of Pesach, the third kois emral of birchas hamazon. We come in the Gemara shmamena birchas hamazon tuna kois. The third kois is connected to birchas hamazon. The Gemara says from here we see that birchas hamazon you need to have a kosher brocha.
Even by yourself.
Bar the kois is taken afidu yechidi. So Tosis says, you can push this one also. Maybe the Gemara the Tosis says mir yesh litchas mishon birchas hamazon tuna kois begimel tikna Pesach afilu beko beyochid kois lebirchas hamazon. So Tosis wants to push it away. The Tosis is Mesupet. The Tosis says, well, maybe it was just because of night of Pesach, so they wanted to connect every kos to something. So the Tosis says, okay, so make up a sashir, make a song. It sounds like that kosher, right? It sounds like kosher brocha is necessary. So they said, anyway, you need to have a kosher brocha. Let's connect it to the third, so it's a night. However, the oilam is noyeg that they only make berchas hamazon with a kois if they have three people. He disagrees. He says you need even a yochim. Toisa says this. I have a raya from the medrash shoicher toiv. Okay. This Tosfos is brought by many to bring a raya that the medrash shoicher toiv is a valid medrash, because there was a shaila about the medrash shoicher toiv. Is it a medrash? Is it not a medrash? So they all say, when you see Tosfos, it brings the medrash shoicher toiv. What's the medrash shoicher toiv? So for Lubavitchers should be very familiar. Is a medrash tilim. The medrash tilim is called medrash shoicher toiv because it starts off with the pasuk shoicher toiv. So that's why it's called medrash shoicher toiv, but it's also called medrash tehillim. Sometimes it's called medrash tehillim or medrash tilim. And all like the first tfus, it's medrash tilim without a hey. So Matzedek a lot of times calls it medrash tilim, tehillim, tilim, whatever it is. So the Gmara says that Reb Shimon ben Rebbe had a lot of medrashim on tehillim. There was Masada medrashim on tehillim, so that's why they think that the author of the medrash tilim is Reb Shimon, the son of Rabbi Yakodesh. But we don't know for sure who is the author. They say it has a big flavor of the Bavli. Many of the Madrashim have a flavor of Yerushalmi. This has a very strong Bavli flavor. Okay, but Akaponim, we see the Gedolei Yisrael quote all the time, and one of the rayas they bring is this Medrash Shoicher Toiv is brought in Tosfos as a raya ladina, because the Mishnah, it says in the end of the chapter 4 in Tehillim, Shinei Rishaim Shebarta, that the Eibishter breaks the teeth of the Rishaim. So it's like a little bit of a funny medrash, and it probably needs a little bit of a beer, but the main thing is what's negetos the halacha. Medrash is like this. Two people were walking, Tzaddik and Rasha. They were hungry. So they came to a restaurant. So the Rasha says, Tzaddik, come, let's go into the restaurant. So the Rasha says, what do you say? We eat. He says, yeah, but you eat, you gotta pay. So the Tzaddik says, this restaurant has been in business for a long time. In other words, if no one pays, how do you expect stay in business? How do you expect this guy to stay in business? And there was a lot of good food, so the Rasha orders. He says, "Give me the best meat, and give me the best fish, and give me the best wine. The wine kunditin, the best wine, and kaita rein von aller Zeit." And the tzaddik says, "Give me a bowl of lentil soup and gluska achas, one roll," and then he orders 2 cups of wine. 2 cups of wine. 1 cup of wine to drink in the Suda, and 1 cup of wine to Birchas Hamazon.
But he's only one person.
And that's what Tosfos says. Is the Charaya, that's what Tosfos is saying. V'chein muchich b'medrash shoicher toiv al kro the shinei yishaim shebarta, that even a yochid could do Birchas Hamazon ala kois. Because what did the tzaddik do in that story? He ordered 2 cups of wine, a lentil soup, a roll, and 2 cups of wine. 1 to drink with the Suda, and 1 to do Birchas Hamazon. At the end, the Rasha, so when he goes out, he asks, what's the bill? And he gives him the bill. It's a small bill. He didn't order too much. And then he leaves. And the Rasha laughs at him. He says, Yukul. He calls him whatever, Yukul ben Yukul ben Benoishel Yukul. He says, there's such good food in this restaurant, and you're eating lentil soup. So the tzaddik says, we'll see, later they're going to break your teeth. So at the end, the tzaddik goes up, he pays his bill, and he goes. And the Rasha gets up, and the guy says, how much did he eat? So he says, yeah, I think I ate 1 roll. So the Baal says, no, you ate 2 rolls. I think I had 2 eggs. He had 5 eggs. And then he goes through the whole bill, and at the end, the guy can't afford to pay it. So they get angry, and he denies. He says, I ate less, I ate more. It becomes a big fight. They have a fight. That's some shot. That's some shot. I don't know what's the connection. What's to do with the Shinaim, but
in this story is in Medrash.
But this Medrash is Shoich HaToiv, yeah. So that's what Toysus is saying. In the Charaya from this Medrash, that you don't need to have a zimun to do a kosher brocha.
Didn't the Rav just say that everyone's moed is still shvach even if a yachid would bench on a kos? How do we know that he ordered it because it's a chiyuv? Maybe he ordered 2 koses because it's still important for him to have this level of shvach to the Eibishter, even though you're not mechuyev. There's not really still in it.
So it depends. If you hold like the Rishonim that everything is it's all a Aviva Mitzvah and it's not an absolute chiyuv, you could say whatever you want. But if you hold that it's an absolute chiyuv, it's a chiyuv or not a chiyuv. You have to know. Could say.
I know somebody who does like a bench.
Exactly. It's something with the Shinaim.
Because of a day, he doesn't want to bench on the cost.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay, so let's summarize.
If he eats alone.
Yeah,
it was a guest of mine. He asked
and he had a kosher brocha. Very nice. Very nice.
That's how he wanted. Here, I have wine. But he didn't pick up the coast. He had the coast laying by him.
The bottom line is,
want to drink a cup of wine.
we're going to learn tomorrow. The Alter Rebbe is paskins that it's not a chiyuv, but it's a mitzvah and a mufcha. And as we said in the beginning of the shir, obviously is a very important mitzvah because when Mashiach Tzidkein is going to come, the first thing is Vayas Mishta Godel B'Yom Gomelas Yitzchok, which a Yom Gomelas Yitzchok means the day Mashiach Tzidkein comes and they didn't go out of Golus. And one of the major things of that suda is going to be the kosher brocha. So Zicher, Sazer, Achoshev Mitzvah, Mitzvah Shem, can learn the Shulchan Aruch on this tomorrow.